Hi, so welcome back to the show. This is Michael Ellis Show. I'm your host, Michael, and today we've got Kez on the show. How are you, Kez?
I'm good, thank you, Michael. How are you?
I'm not bad. So,
Good.
for everybody out there, do you want to just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey to where you've got to?
Okay, so 8 years ago, I had spinal surgery, which left me fighting chronic pain, fatigue, um, 24-hour sciatica, all the usual stuff that spinal surgery can leave you with. I've spent most of the last 8 years living in a wheelchair. Um, and for some reason, I just decided one day that I didn't want to be here no more. Um, and I was diagnosed with PTSD after climbing on top of a multi-story car park and wanting to end it all. Um, so I sat at home, felt sorry for myself, did all the usual why me, and then woke up one day and saw a post about joining a network marketing company and thought, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose at this point. I had no income apart from my partner's. We had two children to support. I just needed something for me. So I did that. I love it. I managed to niche down into helping people with mental and physical health disabilities after obviously my own struggles. I then, during lockdown 1 and 2, set up another business with a friend of mine, which was bringing affordable pamper sessions to local communities, so that people could enjoy feeling special. We've not all got hundreds of pounds to go to the local spa or to go and get every treatment we wish, so we just made it affordable. That kicked off really well, and then lockdown 2 happened. Carried on with the network marketing company that I'm with, kept going with that. Obviously, shop shut, so my business went really well, to be fair. So during lockdown 2, I concentrated on promoting the new business and keep going with the network marketing. And then I was approached by a friend of mine to run a network group for ladies in business with mental and physical health disabilities, because nothing out there is specifically for people with mental and physical health disabilities with businesses. So that's where I am now. That's been the last 2 years of business life for me. Um, and to be fair, I'm loving it.
Awesome. So this new role that you've been approached for, what's that all about? Can you tell
Um,
us a little bit more about that? Because that
yeah,
seems really
Network
interesting.
to Empower Her was set up by a lady called SJ. She was part of the Mums in Business Association and left at the point that all got mixed up a little bit. Started her own, and it was going about 6 months. She had obviously the global group, the local groups, and she just approached me and said, "Do you think this would work?" Now, personally, from 2 years in business, I know there's nothing out there to support people with mental or physical health disabilities. I've got PTSD, I've got long-term depression, I've got physical issues due to the spinal op, but I'm still able to run a business. But there's no support from people with mental in a similar position, really. So the group was set up. Within a week, we had 50 members. I am absolutely loving it. It is such an amazing group of women who are there to help each other. They get a buzz off each other. They bounce off each other. They throw ideas around. And to be fair, I'm loving it. It's probably obviously lockdown causes all businesses issues. But I think it's probably the best way I could have gone for me right now to get known for helping people with those physical and mental health issues.
So what are some of the extra support do you think that people with mental health and physical disabilities
It's
need,
just that
and what are some of the obstacles they face within the business world?
it's just that little bit of understanding. Obviously, I've got PTSD, so I have good days, I have bad days, I have manic days, I have down days, I'm high as a kite days, and nobody knows what I'm going to be like day to day. So having other people that know what that's like is a great support, because if I'm having a down day, then they're there to pick me up. If they're having a down day, then there's people there to pick them up. And with the physical side of it, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, and things like that are hard work. And unless you suffer from them, you won't ever get them. They're completely different. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, to be fair. But it's just that little bit of understanding from other people who are there to go, I know what you're going through.
Understood. So, so what does it mean to be you, do you, and for you?
Um, I was in an abusive relationship and I got beat down to a pulp. I was abused in every way you can imagine every day for 9 years. I stayed there because I thought that's what was best for my son, as many parents do. Um, and then when we finally split up, I realised that he'd beat me out of me. So I spent years developing me, refinding me, becoming the mum that I knew I could be, because I wasn't the best mum, because he was my main concern, because he was the one that was going to give me a black eye or do whatever. So for me, it was being me, for me, and doing me.
So, obviously, that transition period, what are some of the hurdles that you came across um, with your state of mind in terms of rebuilding yourself back up and finding
Um,
yourself again?
when I left him, I would lie in bed and I'd think, I've got enough painkillers in the house to end it all. But then my son's going to find me in the morning. I lived near a main road, so it was like, oh, I can just walk down there and walk in front of a lorry and that's it. But then my son's going to wake up to no one. And I always taught myself out of it by having a 5, 6, 7 year old in the house. Um, he's now dealing with his own PTSD issues because when I left his dad then mentally abused him. Um, so for me, it was rebuilding me. I spent 3 years on my own, literally just daily working that little bit harder to find me. And then I met this man. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he is God's gift or that he's perfect, because he's not. But he showed me what a normal relationship was. I was 17 when I got with my ex. I was 18 when he first started abusing me. I was naive. I was stupid. I was dumb. I was everything everyone says that people in that situation is. But when you're in that situation, because everyone tells you to leave and everyone tells you that it's not right, you go, no, 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 I can do this. It screwed my head. I was nothing. I, yeah, I didn't want to be here. The only thing that kept me here was my son. Um, but yeah, Jay came along and showed me that you can be held without getting raped, without getting beaten, and things like that. When he first came along, obviously, if he touched me, I'd jump a mile. Um, if I accidentally like stroked him, I'd be like, sorry, 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 sorry. But he's still here, 10 years, 9 years later, and he stood by me through it all, and he's pushed me, he's supported me, um, and he's probably my main reason for doing what I do, because he made me realize that there was something inside of Kez that wasn't depressed, that wasn't PTSD, that wasn't chronic pain, that wasn't 24-hour sciatica. There was me. And for that, I can't ever say thank you enough.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I'm happy for you that you found that within somebody else. That's amazing. So how do you help people now? How do you help people that are
By sharing my
that
story.
by sharing your story? And
I have done podcasts on living with a narcissist. I've done podcasts on living with that abuse. I've done the podcasts on mental health. I've done podcasts on living with a child who's got mental health issues and dealing with the mum guilt that you get from it. Because believe me, when I actually heard what this bloke was telling my 7-year-old son, I was disgusted. We went to court because he wanted custody. And then it came out that this bloke had told my 6-year-old son that he was going to cut the brake pipes on the car when we travelled up to Manchester. He was going to chop me up with a chainsaw and bury me in the woods. And stuff like that. And for many, many years, we had to fight the school. We had to fight the NHS. We were constantly going through doors that weren't being opened for us until he turned around in school and went, I don't want to be here. And they went, well, go home. And he went, no, I don't want to be here. And that's what, but that was 7 years after the first time we discovered he was self-harming.
wow.
So for me, it's getting out there, it's sharing my story. I've only been able to do it recently. I've only started getting help for my PTSD recently because the NHS can only offer you so much help. And obviously PTSD is a big thing to get involved in, and 6 weeks of treatment doesn't work.
You're talking about CBT there, right?
Yeah, that's basically all you get on the NHS. But when you have been mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, verbally abused every day for 9 years, and I never got a break. It was hit, kick, rape, all sorts every day. I did not get a break until my son walked in with me pinned up against the wall. And that was the first time I was aware that he knew anything. So for me, sharing my story and getting it out there is what helps.
Do you believe that he knew before that?
Yes. I've now got a 17-year-old son who will tell you his first memory is his mum being raped.
That's bad. That's really bad.
So, yeah.
So what's happened with him now? Do you even know what's happened with him?
He is under CAMS, the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Service. They have done amazing. He's come on in leaps and bounds. Lockdown's making him struggle, but he's gone on to, obviously he was part of the GCSE screw up last year with COVID. He walked out of school with everything he needed. He got a level 2 accountancy certificate within 3 months. He's now doing level 3 and he plans to go to the ACA and plans to earn 50 grand by the time he's 21.
Sorry, my software just froze up then.
That's what I was kind of like, what?
But I'm back. So he's come on leaps and bounds. He's done fantastically well. He's struggled a little bit through through lockdown. Is that because he's not being able to socialize, or is that because he's not because he's struggling without the structure there?
I think it's a bit of both. His best mate's mum works in the school, so obviously he can't have face-to-face contact there. He's supposed to be shielding as well because he's in the high risk category because he's got asthma. So it's kind of like getting him out when I can. So if I go out, he comes with me, which, yes, does do my head in. I have a 17-year-old attached to my butt 24/7.
which
But
can be hard when you've got physical disabilities yourself, which
it is,
can't be
but
necessary.
we've got to get by. Do you know what I mean? My partner is a frontline worker at the moment. He's making sure that everybody, like the police and nurses and things like that, all get their uniforms. So although he's not dealing with COVID face to face, he's working stupidly long hours. So it's kind of down to me and Callum to juggle life and get through.
So what's it like being what's it like with somebody that's a essential worker and doing these long hours to help society out? Does it have a negative impact on you?
Um, it does because I want time with my partner. Leaves the house at 6:30 in the morning. He's home at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. But by 7, 8 o'clock, I'm in bed because I'm in too much pain and I don't want to be a bitch to everyone.
Yeah,
So we kind of get Sundays. But he wants a lazy morning because he's been up every morning. He works most Saturdays as well. So of course on a Sunday he wants to lie in, but I'm like, I want to spend time with you.
yeah,
So, but he still comes home and does all the care bit for me that he's always done.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so you have a Facebook page, which is I've forgotten the name of it now.
Because his wheels of freedom.
Yeah, that's the one. um, so what do you put on there? Is it inspiration? Is it sharing your
It's
story again? Is it
anything,
is it offer for
anything that
help?
relates to me, my businesses, my story, my day-to-day life. I post on there if I go shopping because shopping in a wheelchair is not fun. And those trolleys they make for wheelchairs, you can guarantee the person making them never sat in a wheelchair.
Probably not. Probably not.
So yeah, it's not fun, but it is what it is. What can I do? Sit here and mope? I've done that.
So just quickly on that subject of them wheelchairs in a supermarket that are not made for not probably not made by people that have to sit in a wheelchair. What would you do to improve it?
Make them wheelchair friendly. It
How
does
would you?
the way they work is it doesn't matter what you do. If you turn a corner, they whack you. And you just haven't got that smoothness. It's a nightmare. It's the blind leading the blind, especially when you've got a trolley full as well.
It's a business idea that for you, isn't it?
So I just dragged the 17-year-old shopping with me.
Just to make it easier. Just
Yes.
he pushes the trolley.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But
Being disabled in UK society, I can't say about anywhere else because obviously I live in the UK, but being disabled in the UK society just isn't possible on your own.
even now, I mean, we have gone through a hell of a lot of changes compared to, say, like the 1980s. So
Yeah.
even now, to this day, it's still not possible to do it on your own.
No. Now I live in an old city. I live in Salisbury. Obviously, it's got a lot of history. We get a lot of tourism. Um, but shops can't put ramps outside because pavements aren't wide enough. It's an old building, so they can't get permission. Or the doorways are this narrow.
Mm.
So yeah, society doesn't allow for physical health issues, and mental health issues I've not even looked at. But going back to just being in a wheelchair, you think going around the supermarket, what happens when I want that jar of jam that's on the top shelf? I've got to
Um,
ask someone, but why should I
yeah,
have to ask for something that you do every day?
yeah, I can understand.
It's that independence. My
Yeah,
independence has been taken away enough by the surgery. without society taking it away as well. And that's what I'm fighting for, to get it seen as normal. And then you go down the mental health line, people don't want to walk in shops where you've got this much space because it's so crowded.
Understood. Like, I went through a time when I was struggling with confined spaces and crowded spaces, and that was difficult enough. And that was just a random episode in my life,
Yeah.
where I extremely struggled with it, like almost to the point where I was nearly fainting. But yeah, they do seem, and it does seem to be that some places are not designed that well. They don't have that much of, like you say, that much of an open space.
Even supermarkets aren't disabled friendly. Like I said, that jar of jam that's on the top shelf, I can't get it. And then why should I have to go and look
for you
for a member of staff to then help?
Yeah. Easy for you to get in, but then hard for you to
navigate,
do what you want to do, or get what you want to get without needing assistance.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm independent. My legs may not be the best, but the rest of my body works.
Sorry, my mic muted then. Yeah, I can understand the level of frustrations you go through. Is there anything else that's frustrating in modern society in regards to mental health and physical disabilities?
Society's view of people with mental health issues.
Not necessarily physical disabilities, just
I think physical health issues are more accepted.
Yeah.
Because they're becoming a more noticed thing, because people aren't hiding away behind doors anymore. Whereas you can't see that I've got PTSD unless I have a major flare up in town, and then I'm either drunk, off my face on drugs, or just absolutely crazy. Nobody actually thinks, oh, hang on, there might actually be a reason this woman's kicking off. Maybe we should try and calm her down, or maybe we should try and help, rather than stare and walk away.
Why do you think people do stare and walk away and just walk away?
Because they're scared.
Yeah, well, that's what I would presume to be the case.
They're scared of the unknown.
I understand that you want to normalize mental health and physical disabilities as much as possible, but
it's not so much normalize, it's to get them accepted.
Do you feel like mental health issues are not fully accepted yet?
No. You tell people you've got PTSD and automatically they presume you've been in the army. Now, I went through that when I was diagnosed with PTSD. I was like, how can I have PTSD? This is what the army go through. I don't see what they go through, but I would say they go through a lot worse than what I did. So how can I have PTSD? And I felt such a fraud. And now society put it on me that I'm a fraud because I didn't go to Afghan and fight a war, but I've still got PTSD.
PTSD is postnatal, not
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder. That came out completely wrong. But we'll continue. So a lot of things can trigger that. A lot of things can trigger that, and like I said, it's not extremely well known in terms of the things that can cause that to bring on. But yeah, again, do you think that's just because of a lack of awareness in and throughout the
Yeah,
whole of society in terms of that it's not being talked about enough?
it is. Mental health has only really come in the news during lockdown. Let's be honest, since we all got chucked into our own houses and told we are not allowed out, mental health is everywhere now. It's being talked about everywhere. Every show you put on, there's something about mental health. And I think it's making people more aware, as well as normal everyday public that go to work every day, do their shopping, pick the kids up, and don't have mental health issues are now faced with having mental health issues because they've been forced into a life they don't want. They're at home 24 hours a day with their kids. Now, I've got a 17-year-old, which is easy, but I wouldn't want two, three, four little ones running around 24/7.
Is that half the battle with mental health illnesses? The fact that you said that normal people are now facing a lot of mental health problems because they're forced into a life that they don't want to have. Does that feeling is that the feeling that mental health people have in general?
Um, I don't. The people I've spoke to have said they feel that it's more talked about and there's more awareness around it at the moment. And the fear is that obviously once lockdown's over and COVID's dealt with and we've all been vaccinated and we're 2, 3 years down the line,
Is
are
it
we
going to
still going
go
to be
back?
talking about mental health?
Yeah, or is it going to go back to the way it was?
Or are we going to get ignored and I'm just that crazy person that's kicking off in town?
So um, that's deep. That is deep, um, and it's something that we're not going to know until further down the line, is it? Um, but society does need to change. Um,
But yeah, for example, I was on a local moaning page, as you do, and I was moaning about my local city centre and the accessibility for disabled people. He went, send me an email, tell me all about it, give me all the details. His reply was, this is something we can look at in the future. This is my life now.
yeah, you're all
Now,
living it now, but everybody seems to be putting it off for the future.
yeah, and it's not fair because why should we live behind closed doors because we've had an accident, something in our life's gone wrong? There's a million reasons why people are disabled.
Yeah, there is a million reasons why people are disabled or have mental health problems. In an ideal world, what would you want it to look like? What what are you aiming to move it towards? What
That
is the
people with
better option?
disabilities are accepted into a general population and not stared at because they're strange, walking in a strange way, or stared at because I'm in a wheelchair, or stared at because I'm walking on crutches, but my partner's pushing the wheelchair just in case I need it. Um, I've been called a fraud, I've been called a fake, I've been called it all because I refuse to give up. Now, I know I'm facing a life in a wheelchair, but right now my legs still kind of work. So while they work in, I'm going to use them. But then when someone sees me 10 minutes later sat in the wheelchair, I'm a fake because I was walking 10 minutes before. And how's that fair?
It's not fair.
Because they won't come up to me and say, oh, can I ask? No, if someone comes up to me, I'll explain. I'd much rather someone asked than stared or tutted or went away talking about me because they don't know me.
So you would rather have a conversation with
Yeah.
people that want are intrigued and want to know
And
more.
most disabled people would. Most
Also,
disabled people would rather you walked up to them and said, "Can I ask what's wrong?" Now, some may say, "No, you can't. It's none of your business." But at least then you've tried rather than just sitting there staring. Because
yeah,
if I stared at you for a half hour while you're drinking your coffee, how would you feel?
insecure.
But yeah, I'm insecure enough because I'm faced with my life in a wheelchair. And obviously with PTSD, my head does all sorts.
Yeah,
So staring at me doesn't help.
no. So that's how you would like to see, or I would like to move the world towards. And how how do you think that that's going to happen? Because it's not just going to happen with just you on your own.
No, but I can
I,
start.
yeah, you can start. Every little helps. I'm not saying
My
you
answer
shouldn't do
is
it. And what I'm saying is how can this be how can this be internalized and visualized to the
at the
masses?
moment,
Because I believe at this moment in time, not enough people are talking about it. Not enough, even now, even during lockdown, there's still not enough people, individual people like yourself that are going through
yeah,
it, are standing up and saying, "This is me. This is who I am."
but there is. They're just not all over the papers. They're not all over the news. The media doesn't give them the attention, the respect, or anything that they deserve. For example, okay, perfect example here, Olympics. Every 4 years, the Olympics are on BBC One. Every 4 years, the Paralympics are on Channel 4. Where's the respect?
Yeah, I knew you were going to
If
come up with that.
corporations like the BBC aren't going to
Mm,
show people the respect, then why should anyone else?
yeah,
And that's the problem we're facing, because if I go trundling off down the street, and obviously Salisbury's been hit with Novichok, we've been hit with COVID, as everybody has. We have had cameras left, right, and centre all over the city centre for the last 3 years. Right now, my partner and my son have both been caught on camera by news people. Not once have I, but yeah, I was with them when they were caught on camera.
what do you mean by
So,
crop camera?
well, it was just a case of obviously Novichok. It happened in a restaurant. They were literally on outside the restaurant, and we'd gone past. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we were just walking past. They
Yeah,
got those two, but I was deleted out the picture.
right.
And that's news corporations. That's the BBC telling the people in the Paralympics, you're not worthy of our money or our time or our TV time. And how is that right?
It's not. So, for anybody who's watching or listening, how can they get in touch with you? How can they come and talk to you? How can they can have the conversation with you? If somebody's struggling themselves with all these issues, are you open to
Feel
talk to
free
them?
to inbox me on Facebook.
And how you can reach Kez on Facebook is if you visit michaelerlisonline.com/go/Kez. That will send you straight over to Kez's Facebook profile.
But yeah,
What?
I'm happy to talk to anyone if they're stuck, if they're in a situation they don't know how to get out of, if they're drowning in mental health, or if you just want someone to talk to who knows what you're going through. Because I don't think anyone deserves what disabled people, whether that be mental or physical health, are going through right now.
I don't think anybody deserves it.
So it's just one of those things. We've got to fight it. If I've got to start the fight, then I've got a big enough mouth to start it. You're right, I can't do it on my own, but if I can tackle one little bit at a time, then I will. I've already got my local councillors looking at the road situations where I live, the pavements and things like that, because they're not wheelchair friendly. And that's whilst COVID's going on. So if I can talk to councillors and get action already with COVID going on, I'm going into shops once obviously we can go in. I've arranged 4 separate meetings with different shops who want me to go in and say how they can improve things. I've got a meeting with a manager of a big chain coffee shop who wants to know what they can do. Now, it's like I've said, it's simple, different height tables. It's as simple as that in a coffee shop. But those things, you've either got one that's like 6 foot tall up here or 2 foot tall. And that doesn't always work.
Yeah. So, like I said, guys, visit michaelerlisonline.com/go/Kez. That'll send you over to Kez's Facebook profile where you can catch up with her and talk to her a little bit more, join in with her lovely posts that she puts on there and join in with the journey that she's going through. If there's any final remarks that you want to add to the episode, please add them.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and
thank you very much.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed it.
Thank you guys at home for watching, and thank you guys at home for listening. See you later.
Bye.